Welcome to A Victim Bites Back with me, Jonathan King, having lunch with my old friend and lawyer, Robert Lee.
An interesting week, one in which I became the subject of a Twitter storm. It was interesting because all that basically happened was I replied to a couple of people's posts about Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, pointing out, one, that according to Virginia Giuffre, when she was trafficked to Andrew in whatever year it was, she was 17, and 17 is actually above the age of consent in Great Britain, where she claimed she was trafficked and where that photo was allegedly taken. And the other point I made, which I thought was very important, is wondering why the media wasn't questioning the siblings of Giuffre, plus other people, about the allegation in her memoir that she was raped as a child numerous times by her father and a friend of her father's, both of whom are still alive. And I would have thought this is a much more disturbing situation, if true, than the Prince Andrew allegation. Anyway, that provoked the most enormous storm on Twitter. Nowhere else, because I said the same thing on all the other feeds, Instagram and TikTok and all these other stupid things that exist, Facebook and so on. But it was only on Twitter that it seemed to pick up traction. And all the negative ones, or almost all the negative ones, were simply insults, saying sort of nonce and you're fat and other such things. I mean, literally brain dead stuff. The other interesting thing was that what I did was block all these loonies. But the other interesting thing was it was probably about 10-1 on my side. People either commenting there or else sending me messages or just clicking on likes or whatever about my 2 points about Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre and about the strange allegation in her memoir. I was amused going into my pocket that the bunch of keys that I carry around are on a fob, which is an antique token I bought from 200 years ago for a brothel, which, interestingly enough, appears to have been in Virginia City. Not Virginia Giuffre, Virginia City. So you have to wonder about her memoir anyway, Giuffre's, in that whether or not the allegations about her father and many, many other people, including, of course, Alan Dershowitz, or whatever his name is, the lawyer, many of which she retracted, especially between the 2 memoirs. You have to remember there was one published some time ago and this new one, which has many contradictions. But basically, it's sort of neither one way or the other. And what lots of people picked up on was I referred to her in my discussion about King Charles, who I thought was wrong to do what he did with Prince Andrew, who has not been convicted of anything and is claiming innocence. And I thought Prince Charles was wrong to bow to the media and public pressure. When I say public, I mean only the loonies who, for example, said to me on Twitter, fuck off Ponce and other sort of things. So I think basically I did make the comment there about King Charles and the dead hooker. Well, of course, she is dead. She admits she was a hooker, so I can't understand what the problem with that phrase was. Virginia Giuffre was and is now a dead hooker.
Yes, Robert Lee has heard it all before, and he knows how to cope with me. I'm not an easy person to have as a friend or a client.
And I'd finally like to say, I cover all the Giuffre things, plus, of course, a lot of Lucy Letby stuff, all of which, again, provoked on Twitter exactly the same sort of thing. Fuck off, keep your mouth shut, you're overweight, and other such comments. Nothing ever of intelligence saying, was she innocent or guilty? Was the trial fair or unfair? And also accusing me of defending a child killer, or, as in Prince Andrew's case, a man who used a prostitute. He may have used a prostitute, he may not. He denies ever having been with her on any level. And I rather suspect that may be true, because if he had, I suspect he'd have wanted to do it a few more times, which clearly he didn't, despite her second memoir. Anyway, on all those various levels, I cover them in my new book, 80, That's All, Folks, which is the third volume of my autobiography and is available and should be purchased now.
I ought to point out that actually I'm a big fan of Prince Charles, now King Charles, but it's so easy to make up a photo. This took a few minutes. Here's the young Prince Charles with some girl. Actually, goodness me, it's Virginia Giuffre. I hope he wasn't sweating at the time. Anyway, enough of all this. These are my thoughts for this week, and I will leave you with the welcome to all the new fans I appear to have got. Thank you very much, Twitter or X, and welcome to A Victim Bites Back at kingofhits.com and Revolution.